create a simple registration page. Uh, Maybe I'll have the designs a little later. Okay, the same one, but with the extended option to enter the user name, roll number, subject, or something. So maybe we have some nice CSS created for us. Let us do it everything from the beginning point of view. So we'll have a simple design for us so that we'll have a header, footer, content area, very simple one. With some PX. If I'm typing quietly, mean it is understandable. So most of the part I have already explained. So I'm just going ahead and typing. Of course, we need. Just created the CSS. simple design. So we really want some title, we'll add it. This way also we can give color. Text align to H1. Let me try. I'm going to create a user form. Form could be kept inside the form tag if it is a form which is getting submitted to a remote server, because form can encapsulate the form data, so it can be sent as a group or as a single entity to a server. But whereas this one, what I am creating does has nothing to do with the remote server, and it's not going to submit the data to anywhere. So I may not need this fact. So I'm going to go with the normal div tag. Keep a label. Label usually uh, refer some. For example, I'll let you know. So we type first name. So this label tells what is the purpose of this input field. So even though the placeholder exists here, we magnify. Even though the placeholder exists here, sometime with the value, it may not be visible. So we may not be knowing the input field for which purpose is there. So we can attach a label, nothing but a text in front of a form. So you can keep a label. I don't think I need to keep it. This for tells this particular label belongs to which input type. It is for only for mobile compatibility. It has nothing to do with the UI. No change will happen in the UI. Field set. Make it as a one single field set. This puts a nice set, a kind of a border, so that it looks pretty good. if it is a form. Does it look readable if I keep it 100%? Anyway, zoom it. Input text type can be also kept to number. If you put a number, there is small incremental value stuff will be shown here. This is applicable only for HTML5 enabled browsers, the browser which support HTML5. But in this case, I'm just going to keep it text because the roll number is going to be slightly longer, so I'm not going to follow that. A couple of other features. Let me keep something different this time. Select option is nothing but a drop down. Uh, so it gives me a drop down. If I put a select option, only one. Usually the default, the first one uh, kept selected by default. What else I want to keep? Okay, I'm done with that. Don't want to populate much. At the end, maybe a button. We keep it within the field set. First thing we need to do something to make it look better. I'm going to make a label with respect. It works. Label is not taking. For what reason? Okay, to fix this, I have some ways to do that. Wrapping the particular text uh, within a wrapper or maybe a div tag. It's not taking this man. This guy is not respecting. Class selector. I'm assuming my field set is collapsing something. Last name. Due to some reason, it only accepts class selector. Okay, some more better. This float property will make it as a box. Maybe it needed a box type to verify that. Yes. So it was not a box by default. That's the reason it did not work before. Display block also will ensure the given tag is treated as a box so that your CSS attribute value will take effect. In fact, it was not defined as a box. That's the reason my previous CSS definition did not work. Now it should work. I'll keep a empty label for submit even though I don't use it. I need a blank character. This ampersand NBSP will put a blank letter. So it is now done. We have a form ready. So I'm going to enter something here. As I enter, pick the subject, click register. I should see a table populated dynamically here. That part we will have it done. I want the CSS to be transferred to a separate page. I don't want to mess up the page, so I'm going to do my style. I want to move all the CSS definitions or whatever we have defined to the separate file. Like we did yesterday. So let the code be separate with the CSS. Yes. Select some different form. Really bad to see the same form again and again. Sheriff. Depending on the system font, there may be different font type and family type may be available. So in this computer, I have a very few one. Sans serif unknown is there. Okay, anyway.
It's changing entire thing. It's not only changing the
Huh?
even in the labels, the font is also getting changed.
Which one?
It changes. When you change in the body,
Yeah.
it's W.
Yeah.
But the first name, the style also changes. It's changing.
Yeah, body. The first name is reside in the body itself, right? Body is a wrapper for everything. So the whole purpose of defining something in body mean I want to take effect everywhere. So whatever family word I define in the body, naturally it will take effect, including the label or whatever which is typed, and will have a font name taking effect. Okay, that's fine. This is only for designing. Let me go ahead and create the table first. This is where my table is going to come. So we have a table. Head, table row, table header, first name, yes, last name, okay, time to beautify them. But before I'll finish the table part, this time the table is going to be quite dynamic. But anyway, for testing or to have a colors in place, I'll redefine some values. So table, let's add some designs here. The right bar, want to keep the right bar, some padding. So the effective size changes. Go to what value? 480. Okay. We'll still beautify them. Last time I added a border this way here. Border is nice idea. See, the choice is not coming. Even though adding the border is a good idea to define the boundaries. But the actual way, the best way would be doing through CSS. This time also I'm going to go ahead with the class selector, table. I'm going to use shorthand property, let the border be 2 pixel width, solid, black. The shorthand property of a border is the border width in all the 4 directions, and the style of a border and the color of the border. Uh, okay, but something is missing. Okay, we'll do something. Instead of defining here, just defining the width of the border so that it's slightly bigger, gets bigger. And I'm going to define th and td properties, table header and table data, the columns. There I'm going to give a border. Okay, still we can do. There is a property called border collapse. Border collapse will make sure, especially it will be useful for table, these borders which is right now separate, like borders right now default property is separate, mean each has its own border. If you want to merge them, you can keep collapse. This should ensure, sorry, maybe table I'll define it. Yeah, didn't work. So the borders, each cells and the, for example, header cell and the table data cell, which had been merged together and made as a single border. If you have a default property is separated, so default one separate, that's what it was showing like this. So I made it to a collapse one. This is particularly useful when you create tables. I also want to give a padding so that slightly look better. 10px. Our tables are pretty good. This is the collective one. We have th. I'll give a different background color for header. We don't have idea, but any color can be chosen, so it looks much better. So a table row number subject is there. Sometimes the text align will also work for div tags, but fortunately it doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't matter for us. Let's slightly increase the width of the table so it looks spread across. Okay. So now I'm going to remove the additional elements, so we are going to dynamically add it. Right. This also not needed, I hope. So as I enter and click register, it should populate. I need to have ID for the table, so integrate. Now JavaScript takes in charge because I need to manipulate DOMs. I need to read the DOM whatever the value is being typed. I need to detect whenever the action performed on the button. When button performs some action, I need to manipulate the DOM where the table is being written and insert the value. So let me see how I'm going to do it. I just have some convention of stating that something to do with action. I mean, I also keep prefix and on because the JavaScript guys always keep on, click, on, blur, something like that. So I also follow the convention, but it is nothing mandatory stuff. But it's up to your inspiration from the source where you learn. So in this case, on click. Okay, when registration is done. Already have a first name, last name, roll number, and subject. It also need a value property. In fact, I need a text also because the DOM can read the value easily. I'm giving the same value because I'm just going to need a value which is selected. For other one, the value will be typed, so in runtime I can find them. But in this case, the drop down, the value is going to be selected from the existing. I could do everything directly, but for better control over what we are doing, so I'm declaring each as a separate object. So get element by ID, this case first name, this camel casing is also one of developer practice. I would recommend in object-oriented programs, make sure class name always start with uppercase and follow camel casing if it is a class. If it is a function, make sure it start with the lowercase and follow the camel casing. And same applicable for any variables or objects what you create. So it's kind of practice. You may be wondering why this guy has kept it uppercase here, because it's just a practice. If any chance comes, a separate word always a camel case font. This gives an insight of how professional the developer follows the practices. I don't know this company take that quite seriously. I usually take quite seriously while I have a certain number of teams working under me. I always give importance to the practices. Okay, anyway, it's done. I have a table, right? So the table is going to get populated. It's called a rich table. Just name table. It's nothing to do with the DOM name table. This is the object of this particular DOM. I had to read what is there inside because in most of the cases I read the value property or inner HTML property, but in this case I had to read whatever it is. This will make sure an empty row is created under the table at the end. Empty row mean another row. a cell is created. Zeroth cell means the first cell. I have 4 cell to be created. So the first one get instance of the table object from the document. In the table object, insert a new row. From the new row, insert various tables. Of course, I am sorry, various cells. Of course, the table cells. The 4 cells I have just inserted. Remember, it's all empty so far. First name cell. Inner. Sometimes the suggestion won't come. Doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. It's very well there. Okay, this should do the job. Did the job. So I just fill the form, hit register, the table got populated instantly. And of course, it is better to clear once the data is inserted. I add the code. And adds. So this, make sure clear fields. Let all the fields to be cleared. The last one I'm not pretty interested. So the value won't be saving. Of course, it won't retain. That is another part we need to fix. How to save them. As I refresh, everything will go away. So now I'm not touching the subject. You have to find and let me know how to put the drop down also into a default one, or make the drop down selectable to a particular item which is always on the top that you need to find. Yes. So I don't remember some names suddenly. Okay, so a dynamic table just created. The left side where the user enters some detail, and as he hit, the table gets populated dynamically using JavaScript. So we only had a part of the code written in HTML. That too only the table with some headers. In fact, the body is also not needed. The rest of the part were added dynamically using JavaScript. So JavaScript, with the help of DOM manipulation technique, it created the table quite dynamically based on the user, whatever the form entry is being happening. Of course, I can make it as an app, so the app can save my, in fact, some details, uh, which could be preserved. So that's also I may be introducing it how to persist the data. As of now, a simple table got created, and of course, it is having some value attached to it. Okay, there's a few more small trivial point I'd like to tell. For example, you don't have a last name cell. In that case, the first name itself you want to keep the occupied two cells. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the last name. I'm going to make the first name cell with column span called span two. See what kind of a change it brings. Last name, if I don't enter, also nothing. Anyway, we are not going to display it. Thing gone wrong. If something goes wrong, we'll try to see if any console something has happened here. So the value provided to it's outside of the range. The fail to execute insert cell, something is going wrong here. Here it is. The problem is the index is wrong since I removed one. If you notice the first cell spanning across two columns, because this is what we have done here, because I told the very first cell occupy the length of two spans, so it is occupying the first name and last name together and rest of the space given to other cells. So sometime if you want to have some different table, one particular column spread across a different, span across the other columns, make sure you use a column span. Of course, this can also be used here directly to TD or TH, and the value could be given directly in the HTML itself. Otherwise, if you are using JavaScript to populate the particular cell, you can use the column span at COLS as a uppercase letter, and you can define the value. So this is a small trivial. Anyway, we'll see them if required. I'm just going to put it back. Maybe I can comment. Just keep it commented. I hope it's good. Works. Okay, so we just created a dynamic table which populates. Now we need to think about saving the data. How to go about that? Maybe I'll do that. Okay, I have a time anyway, so let me see if I can attach that. Uh, if you guys are comfortable up to that, I'll go ahead and add the persistency to it. Otherwise, if you want some small break, you want to test it, then go for it also, I'm fine. So which one you prefer? Shall I continue? Break. Okay. So I'll upload the source code. So please do this exercise. Maybe a pretty smaller one. Color Is it? Do you think it's so big? It's quite small. We have a very complex thing coming ahead, so don't worry. First thing, the coloring. I'm not so good at selecting the colors, so please make something professional. Uh, Maybe like font or different types exist. Go through it and search it and do the required alignments. This guy, some margin, since I said something has gone wrong here, but okay, that you can fix it.
Adding height on it.
Which one?
The right side padding. You gave auto padding and side padding increased. Right.
Right where I gave a padding, so I reduce
You
this.
didn't say or reduced it, left right you didn't say. Height to 580.
Height is.
One is it's taking all the side 10 pixels.
Okay, got it. What's that? 580, right? 600 it was.
This side is 600, it became
Is
1600.
that okay? Okay, fine. I'll push the sources to a site. Maybe after the break or maybe on Monday we'll see how to add the persistency. Make sure we'll complete the exercise. Yeah, I can go for a break now.